Hey, Dave here at Master of Odor Removal. Wanted to show you kind of how I put things back together when we're done with the house. We treated a house for smoke odors here, and this is how I left all my tools and buckets last night. So I had my toolboxes that was stacked up there. I've already been in my toolbox. But if it's a house, and I'm the only one that has access, I go ahead and sometimes leave my stuff here if I'm going to be back the next day before I do another job and don't have enough equipment. So anyways, left this last night, left my ladders last night, and then left this last night. This is the air filter of the house, and so I left it here. And then I take a picture and I can send it to the realtor. And then I found in the garage, I found a replacement filter. So I went ahead and just replaced it. My ladders are here. And then I'm going to put my pumps and everything here just for the initial teardown. So the house, the blinds were down, that air could get up. If you haven't seen that, watch that video. And then all these drawers are open. So I'm going to come through and gently, remember, if you're if you're a pro, right, don't go slamming doors. Doors and drawers were not made to slam. So we close things gently and we treat things like it's our own home, right? And then we're going to take care of all that in a minute. Here's what's left over. So it was bright yellow when we were using it, right? So I am going to get a bucket. Here's what I do. Actually, we'll just do it here real quick. The loo, the toilet's open, and in theory, we take our clips off. I always have them on one side of the handle bail so that if we need to, we can just pick it up. So I do this, and the reason I do that is that our byproducts are water and salt, NaCl. So let me see if I can. I know it's really weird. Okay, here we go. So, can you see the salt? And that's it. So then, and you can see that, we've got stuff that needs to be cleaned out. But this is now my hose bucket. So you can see I have my hoses, and they're just going to drag behind me because they're clean. They're all going to go in one bucket. So for your toilets, after you're done, you flush it twice. And all you're doing, this is my first time with a touch flush. Didn't think I'd be bad at using the toilet, but So, we're going to flush that toilet one more time, and that just gets all the salt out of the system. So, not, in the system. We're just going to make sure there's no salt in it. And then I turn off the light, turn on the fan, the drawers are closed, the cabinet is closed up. Now I'm going to come back and check it one more time, but we've got window open, we've got the blinds open, and we are airing things out. This bucket will now go with me to every spot. I pull down the pumps so they can cool down, and then I am going to transfer my hoses, and you don't have to clip them back on, obviously, and then I can take this, and I just do one thing at a time. Now normally, I've got an issue here. I don't want all that salt on the floor. So let's just get rid of the bucket first. And we can put, we can dump multiple buckets into the same loo and then just flush it twice. So since we already got one flush on that toilet, let's do this one. Hold on a second. So as funny as this is to demonstrate on camera, it's all part of learning. So I just kind of get my salt swirling in the bottom. You can even do that and then really get it going. But the crazy thing is sometimes when people do that, they swirl it over the bucket edge. So hold on, let me go get the other bucket. Well, do you want to see it, how it's working? Now, I'll never put my buckets down on the floor if I can avoid it. So you can still, I'm still bubbling. So let's move our bubblers over. Normally they'd all go in that one bucket, but I was getting things. And then I'm going to disconnect and unplug. And typically, now that I'm unplugged here, I would just take this and I'm going to go all the way back and put it in my staging area. Usually the staging area is the garage, but we're looking to get rain, and so I am staying far away from points of entry of water because I don't want to bring in wet shoes, because this house just looks beautiful. It's all nice and clean and ready to go. So again, we're closing cabinets. We're treating it like it's our own house. And we're going to grab a bucket. And we are going to set it down. And our only byproducts are salt, NaCl, and H2O. So, then we're going to flush it. And it's so funny, those toilets don't like flushing the person when they've been manually flushed. So again, I'm not going to put down the bucket anywhere if I can avoid it. And I can avoid it. So here's the only, oh, and this is another thing. I never have two hands full when I'm doing a job, because now I have to put a bucket down to open this door. That was the tip that took a while to learn. Never ever do two hands full. At home, always at home, you just do two hands, just to shorten up trips. But on a job, only ever one hand. Here's why that matters, and this is going to sound silly to you, perhaps, but it won't sound silly if you ever have to replace somebody's carpet. And then we check where our buckets were. And it's perfect. If I do one hand, one trip, so, if I do only one trip ever, or if I do only one thing in my hand, there we go, okay. So one down for that. I don't spill if I have one thing in my hand. If, let's say you're carrying chemicals, buckets with chemicals in them, and you trip on a stair, or if you're two buckets wide, you got one here, and you bang the walls, it's nothing that's ever going to happen, right? I get that. I get that it's never going to happen. However, if it does happen one time, it's very expensive. Just, if you bleach out a carpet, it costs money. That's the reason we gently close doors. Oh, the door is swinging open and closed from the wind. That's the reason we gently close doors. We don't want to leave things worse than we found them. We want to leave them as good or better. And then the other thing is that if we have to replace something, that just comes out of, your insurance policy, which, I'm always going to assume you have an insurance policy. But it's just a waste of time and money to have to replace something. So there's one thing, and normally I would always put my hoses. Oh, see that little white splatter? Yeah, we'll just wipe that up, easy peasy. But that's the reason. So I'm going to drag these hoses behind me, and I'm going to go to, let's see, let's stay out of there. So one thing, I really want to go get that bucket. My little OCD is kind of going off, but let's do this. I'm going to break my rule. I don't ever want to take things from one spot into another and back out, because if there's a splash, a water splash, I don't want to bring it back in the house. But okay, so let's go find the toilet, put the salt water. Incidentally, you can put this into I've been told you can put it into a pool. But I do know that this is okay. Okay, so now you know that the Kohler touch flush, if you flush it manually, it needs a minute to regroup itself. Okay, so I count everything in, count everything out, so I know I have one left. So I'm airing things out. I hear the air conditioning running, so that's good. We got airflow through the system. And now I've got 4 buckets. I've got 8 hoses, and I have 4 buckets worth of pumps. So 1, 2, 3, and I used 2 for that one. So now it is my time to, as the house is airing out, it's time to wash up our dishes and let them dry, and return smoke detectors back to their position. And then final thing is I do a wipe down quick of any surfaces that we have touched. And I wipe down my pumps, and I go through the house one last time, and I'll usually hit the top of switch plates, not because I did anything to them, but because if you make them clean and white, the whole place looks nice. And just those little things. So on this house, normally I would sweep out all the bougainvillea leaves, or normally I'm going to sweep out all these leaves, or just pick them up. And if you don't have a broom, and shoot, they're dry. But one advantage I know of this house is that the house cleaner is coming in behind me. So that's a cool thing. And it's starting to sprinkle soon. I don't want to go out there and bring in water. So thanks. I know it's a really boring video, but this is the business, We leave everything nice. We check to make sure refrigerators, drawers, everything is closed. I told the realtor that I would leave. Oh, I told you so I don't know if you can see that. This is a black thing that says pilot on, off, whatever. So I told the realtor that I am going to leave the gas off. Here's why. The realtor is going out of town. So the house is vacant, and will be for a couple days, or the house cleaner will come. But I'm going to leave that off because I'm responsible for the house, and I don't want, I don't want to leave a house with a pilot light going on the fireplace that's vacant. That's another thing. Don't let them turn on utilities while you have control of the house. Here's why. We did a house up in a very, it was a really normal house in a very nice neighborhood, and it was a rental. And I came back the next day to take down all my stuff, and there's water coming out the garage. So what had happened is, I obviously didn't use any water in the house because the water was off. I did not know to tell them to not turn it on. This is early on in my career. And there was a neighbor outside, and I said, hey, can I fill up some buckets of water from your hose? He says, yeah, absolutely. So I just told him, you know, I was taking care of disinfecting, and I rarely say odors because most people don't want others to hear that they're getting odors removed from their house, right? So, and since our odor removal is high-end disinfection, it's true. So, told the owner, or told the neighbor, that I just need some buckets that we're doing some disinfection. And he says, yeah, no problem. Filled up water, did my thing, left, everything was going great, got back, and the water is coming out the garage. And so what had happened is they had the water turned off to that property. And it's a pretty big deal. I mean, it's a very nice house. It wasn't very big. It was only, you know, anyways, it was a 2-bedroom house. The master bathtub had been left on, and I didn't know that. You know, why would I know that? I haven't touched any water in the whole house. And so when they turned the water back on, sometime after I left, I mean, I had no idea that they were going to do that at the time. When they turned the water back on, the tub was open, and overnight it filled and flooded, and it went from the master bathroom, which is the very back of the house, and went all the way through to the front of the house, the garage. And so the entire side of the home, whatever width the master bathroom was, so, you know, and bedroom, so that wing of the house was wiped out. So went from the bathroom and all the master everything, and the pantry and the laundry room, and into the garage. And so when I got there, I spent a couple hours sweeping out their house. I called her right away. I said, hey, you have, you know, water is on now, and it flooded. And her emergency plumber couldn't get there for another day or two. And so I turned off the water. I said, look, I can sweep it out to help out, but this is not my, you know, I can't, this is not me. So I swept it out and aired it out and tried to, you know, get all the windows. Our stuff, incidentally, is antifungal, which is great. So mildew and mold isn't going to form because we have enough chlorine dioxide in the house, but it wasn't, you know, that's not why we, anyway, so got it all out and handed over the house, and later she wanted a refund of my odor treatment because she said that I was somehow responsible for a flooded house, and of course that's not true. You know, that wasn't me. So I now tell people, don't turn on utilities while I'm there. This is the reason why. The water's here, it's on, and everything's okay. Great. Flushes, great. Before I leave the house, I'll make sure that any running toilet is done running. I make sure that everything is fine and locked up, like it was my own home. And then finally, with the gas, I'm not going to leave a pilot light in a fireplace lit. It's not being used. And so the realtor understood. He agreed that's fine. So I turned off the pilot light. I turned off the gas, and I won't turn those back on. That's up to the realtor or the new homeowner to do, but that's not my department. So please be cautious. You know, big houses, big deal. And so we leave things as nice as we found them, or better, which is why we do things just one thing at a time. If it means we make 8 trips, but we're keeping our shoes inside the house, right? So we're not adding any outside water or debris, and we do one thing at a time. Oftentimes I'll actually take an additional bucket and put all the hoses in it as I go, and then dump the bucket. And then once the bucket is dumped, I will take it out to where I'm doing dishes, the garage or the patio. I can't do the patio right now because it's raining, but I'll do all my dishes after the house is done completely, and I'll get all my buckets washed and cleaned, and they'll come home. I'll transport them a little bit wet, which is okay, and I'll just make sure I'll dry them at home in our garage. So got Gosh, doesn't get more practical than that, right? I know this is unbelievably boring. I can't imagine anyone watches this. However, if you do, bless you, and just know that my wife has to put up with this all the time, and my kids. And so you're a saint. You've given them one day off. So if I can help with any questions, mastergermanodorremoval.com, or you can email me at dave@mastergermanodorremoval.com. And of course, you can always call us. We have our phone number on the website. We have an Arizona specific phone number. We have a North Carolina specific line. 480-313-2774 is our Arizona line. And usually those are transferred to my phone. But if they're not, just ask to be put through, and I'll give you a call back. So we often let our voicemail pick up calls because of all the robocalls and the spam and the verification and all that. So if we don't answer your phone call, it's not because we don't like you. We really do like you. But, well, you know, we just, it just interrupts our day like crazy, because if you get a half a dozen or a dozen hang-ups, it's just, you know, every time I stop and I empty my hands and I, you know, answer the phone. So if it goes to voicemail, just leave a message and we will call you back just as soon as we can. 480-313-2774. Have a great day.